Pleasure to have you with us each and every morning, starting your day on the right side. And speaking of the right side, coming up tomorrow, we're going to be off and shooting at Independence Indoor Shooting Range in Meridian, Idaho. Stop by and join us, fire off some weapons, talk about the Second Amendment. It's going to be a great time. Hope to see you there Friday morning at Independence Indoor Shooting in Meridian, Idaho. Joining us now is Tim Taylor. Talk a little bit about water and electricity and all that's good. Good morning, Tim.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good to have you with us here at KIDO Talk Radio. So,
Thank you.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, sir.
Well, I was going to tell you, sir, I really appreciate your show, and my wife and I listen to you regularly, and it's such a wonderful thing that you're able to bring divergent ideas and people together and air that. It's very important for our community. We really appreciate all that you do and those that help you do it.
Well, thank you, Tim. I love how you describe yourself in this email. I'm a 70-year-old grump. Somehow I can relate.
Well, that's basically true. But there is sometimes things come up that just kind of get my ire, and I really want to get involved, at least to the extent to get the public aware of what's going on and a way in which they can participate without it being, too demanding, but it's still important. And this of course relates to this pending merger acquisition of Avista Corporation by Hydro One, which is a Canadian-controlled water company.
Well, don't we have the French controlling our water as well? What? Give us the details.
Well, I'm not certain about what's local. I was just made aware of this merger about 2 or 3 weeks ago. It was just providential that I even found out about it. But and the process has been going on for some time. Avista Corporation is a monopoly utility service provider, and from what I understand, they're throughout the Northwest, and they control a number of dams, hydroelectric operations. And as a consequence, they would have a tremendous impact. They have a tremendous impact on water prices and water rights. Now, they are a United States entity, but there is a foreign company, Hydro One, which is controlled, I said before, by a Canadian company, Canadian province of Ontario. And they've been in the process now for some time of acquiring and merging with Avista Corporation for the purpose of controlling water rights throughout the Northwest. And like I said, the process has been some time in the going. There's 5 states involved: Washington, Oregon, Idaho, Montana, and Alaska. And 3 of the states have already signed off on this merger, which has to be done through their public utilities commissions. And there's been a brave little group of Idahoans in North Idaho that have been steadfast in fighting back and doing what they can to get this publicized, to prevent this from occurring. And it looks like they're on the cusp of some victory, which would be very important if the Treasure Valley citizens, at least some, could attend a technical hearing at the PUC in Boise, Idaho this coming Monday, in which we can show up in numbers and support what's happening there. Now, the technical hearing that's been scheduled is not going to be one in which the public can comment. but they'll be able to observe the what we hope is going to be an end to this process and allow the Northwest to retain their water rights.
Well, that's the danger. So, we could lose our water rights. Is that what you're saying?
Well, no. I mean, this Avista is a monopoly, okay, and they're a monopoly service provider. They, in many ways, control water flows and the dam operations. They have like 13 different dams, I think, they control in the Northwest. They don't have all of it. And there is, by the way, this group that I had mentioned that's been fighting back is called Avista Consumer Group. And they have an outstanding website in which people can go to and get up to speed on all that's transpired here for the past year. And by the way, they also have an opportunity on their website that you can donate, because they have now had to hire a water rights attorney, which is going to represent us, the customers, throughout the Northwest at this PUC meeting, and make arguments that this merger should not go through. What we got here, Kevin, is an end around. When President Trump was went to Paris, and he withdrew out of this Paris climate accord. Well, the elites are in the process of an end around. This started a year ago. They didn't like the results, and so they saw they lost on one accord, but they're trying an end around. They're trying to backdoor to come into our country, and through these water rights controls, they would cause rates to increase, and an indirect tax, and cap. This trade cap and tax would be in our water rates, and these funds go back to support, not even in our country, goes to Hydro One, which is located in Ontario, the province of Ontario. Goes back to them, and then they use that. They're supposed to use these funds to support, these windmills and solar operations that are not profitable, haven't been proven, are not objectively proven as profitable, and so that's how they're doing it. That's how they're proposing to do it. Well, this little band of people up in Northern California stood up to them, and they finally got the attention of the Assistant Attorney General of the state of Idaho, and he made a recommendation to the PUC and said, "Hey, we need to reexamine this. We need to have a technical hearing." And of course, the PUC in Idaho decide, well, maybe we should. So that's going to happen this Monday morning, and like I said, the public can attend. You won't be able to comment, but that's okay. What I'd like to see is that room fill up with people in support of this little group and this water rights attorney they've now hired to say, hey, this is not going to happen in our state. And if Idaho stands up to them and this fails, then the result is going to be that there's not going to be this kind of buyout by a foreign entity over which we have no control and have no. My wife has given me information about the meeting. This meeting is going to be Monday at 9:30 in the morning. It's July 23rd at the PUC office, which is on Washington. I think it's 472 Washington. And I spoke with the information officer at the PUC. Is very helpful. His name's Matthew. And he said, yes, we have that scheduled. and the public can attend, and they have room for, I don't know, 75, 100 people. It would be nice to kind of fill that room up and say, hey, look, we're interested in seeing this squashed, because this is not the way we do things in the United States. So that's basically it. And then there's been many articles. There's an excellent article by an Angelo Lanzaro, who has been involved in this from the beginning, on the Gem State Patriot website. And the name of that article, people can look it up. It's just one page long, all the facts. The Avista Hydro One scam exposed. So, and as an example, the first fact in there states that the CEO and board of Avista Corporation would receive $51 million upon the close of the merger. Once again, this is an end around. This is a way in which certain elites are going to profit, and we're going to end up stuck with power bills. Like I said, if you look at the websites that they recommend there, and they have links to a lot of information, the people up in the province of Ontario are suffering. They've been suffering from these high water rates for some time. When I understand, sometimes in the winter, people are having to try and keep their selves sufficient in the winter by having generators, because the electricity is so high. So it's a disaster, and they're trying to bring it down into our country too. And
Tim, we appreciate the information, and we hope a lot of people will join you.
And one other thing, I think that the electric costs are going. Yeah, it's supposed to be like a 70% surcharge. That's what they're suffering from up in Ontario right now. So, yes, I really appreciate that. Once again, it's Avista Consumer Group, Avista Customer Group, okay, .com. That website has all the information for anybody that is interested. I encourage at least some of the listeners to attend this meeting on Monday, July 23rd at 9:30 in the morning. And once again, Kevin, I really appreciate you taking time from your program to hear about this announcement.
Tim, we appreciate you thinking of us, and thank you and your wife for listening. You take care, sir.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
Bye now.
Bye-bye. Doug in Mountain Home with Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Doug.
Good morning, Kevin.
How you been?
God bless you. God bless you for what you've been doing with this stuff. Yesterday I was up in the mountains cutting some wood, so I was listening to you as best I could. But, yeah, I mean, Obama, as far as I'm concerned, he's over in his rightfully home country, and he ought to be just stay there. So, anywho, that's the way I feel about it, what you was talking about this morning, about the way on the intelligent thing.
Sure.
You know, on Trump. Come on. I mean, that's an easy no-brainer. I mean, they're beating on him, they're lying, and what do? If you're in his place, you go, yeah, who's on my side? And I don't see, I'm sure the lower echelon in them things, you know, like the FBI and the CIA, I'm sure they're American, they're on their side. But that answer that Peter Strzok gave, that whatever you want to call them congressional hearings, I think they're a joke. And I mean, what can they do, Kevin? Do you know what the congressional hearings can do to them?
Absolutely nothing.
Yeah. So they're just wasting our tax dollars. You know, I don't know. I sort of babble on, I guess, but that he's got nobody that's just like the Republican Party. Nobody helps him. He's been doing this all on his own. I mean, Jeff Sessions, Trey Gowdy, I mean, Paul Ryan or whatever the crap his name is. As far as I'm concerned, all them guys, yeah, they're Rhino Republicans or whatever. There's dirt on them guys. You can see Jeff Sessions. It's almost like his hands are sweating whenever he's around. I hope, wake up, America, please. This November, I hope they gain control and he can just fire a whole bunch of them, because that's what needs to happen. They need to go to jail, but Kevin, I don't think it's ever going to happen. Do you?
No, I agree with you, unfortunately. I think Hillary Clinton, Strzok. I would go so as far as to say Eric Holder, Loretta Lynch, the whole gang.
Yeah. I mean, they're not, nothing's ever going to happen.
Can you call them a gang?
Yeah, exactly. You know? And the scary part of it is, to me, is when they can get away with this and they sit there and just, I mean, I don't have TV, so I don't watch none of the hearing stuff, but I've heard on the radio, I mean, them guys are sitting there with that smug grin on their faces like, you can't do nothing to us, and so piss off. That's scary, Kevin.
It is.
The law does not do nothing to them, period. You know, it's scary. And I don't know where to go with it except the voting booth. You know, we've seen this last election, a lot of kids, a lot of people, young people go, my vote don't count. I hear that from my son. I go, the hell it don't count. Just look what happened the last election. It counts. But that lady that called in this morning, I can't remember what her name was, about the brainwashed kids, you know, thinking that socialism and communism is going to be a great thing. There we go. What do we got? What's the future got to look for? If they let this thing slide and nobody goes to jail, there's no future left in this country, period. There isn't.
Well, Doug, safe travels on the road today, brother.
Yep. And keep up the good work. I really, between you and Sean Hannity, I can only take so much of Sean. I've always been that way. But as far as I'm concerned, he's the only voice out there besides local news. But you know what I'm trying to say.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
A sword for Trump.
I agree.
He gets annoying. Anyway, I'll let you go.
All right. Thanks, Doug. To Doug's point, yes, it could all go away if we let it. And thank God that Donald Trump was elected and not Hillary Clinton. 580-5436, 580-KIDO. They're still out to get President Trump. We'll get your thoughts on that at 580. I love this. We have one media pundit that says it's time to remove the president by rewriting the Constitution. That's right. Rewrite the Constitution to remove President Trump. We'll take your calls next. What a way to start the day. Good morning. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Oh, you're going to love this one. For all of you that have fled California, for all of you that have come from California, and maybe you're not, not one of the desirables, if you will. We have good people, like anywhere, good people from California, bad people from California, but you're going to love this. San Francisco, maybe we should just call it the state of San Francisco, began registering non-citizens, including undocumented immigrants. Of course, that's the politically correct term for saying illegal immigrants, illegal aliens, to register to vote Monday in the November election for the city school board, according to the San Francisco Chronicle. The move follows the passage of a 2016 ballot measure by voters in San Francisco, opening up school elections to non-citizens who are over the age of 18. Now you have San Francisco City Supervisor Hillary Ronan saying there is a no-brainer. Why would we not want our parents invested in the education of their children? We want to give immigrants the right to vote, Norman Yee, also a county supervisor, told KGO Radio. But Harmeen Dillon, who serves on the Republican National Committee, told the station she disagrees with those assessments. The reason I voted against it is that I think the right to vote is something that goes along with citizenship and should be. San Francisco, the first city in California to allow non-citizens to vote in local elections following the passage of Measure N, with 54% of the vote after 2 previous failed tries. So what is the motivation to become a citizen in America if, in fact, you can just vote at any time? And we go to Max. Max, good morning. You're on KIDO Talk Radio with Kevin Miller.
Good morning, Kevin. How you doing?
Living the dream, and you?
I'm living the dream. Hoping I can get up there to that shooting thing tomorrow. My car's in the shop. Worst comes to worst, I'll get a ride and come up with a friend of mine. Looking forward to seeing you. The only way I'm ever going to hear from you, except on the radio, because you don't answer emails. But let's move along to something else. The state of the education in Idaho. I was driving by Capitol High School the other day, and did they name it Capitol High School because it's in the state's capital?
That's a good question.
The reason I'm saying is, if they did, they misspelled the name. Capitol is P-O-L. If you're talking about funds, finance, money, capital is T-A-L. How many years has it been misspelled?
You'd have to see the principal.
No, the principal probably wouldn't know either.
Well, that's not
public
very nice.
Education, what we're paying our teachers, you don't get the creme de la creme for peanuts. I'm really disheartened to see how many young people have been indoctrinated, even here, even in Boise, have been indoctrinated by the socialist views of most of their teachers. I've lived in socialist communist countries. If they want it, go over to China working a job. Don't go over there and teach English for a year like so many Americans do. They come back experts on China. Go over there and see how the real people really work. Or go to Canada. You want to see communism in an embryonic stage? Right now, deep socialism? Go to Canada, where they're paying $7 a gallon for gasoline, where everything they pay is a carbon tax. Go for it, people. Knock yourselves out. Especially those people who said they were going to leave the country if Trump ever became president. He not only became president, he's excelling. And okay, I'm covering a gamut of things. Last thing, I was speaking to an elderly fellow yesterday.
Oh, wait a minute. There's one. Hold on. Wait a minute. There's one more.
Okay. One more. I was speaking to a guy who's a little bit older than me. As they say, wait, there's more. I was speaking to a guy a little bit older than me. He's pushing 70. He's college educated, had professional all the years. And I don't believe how he is sucking up and absorbing all of this fake news. He is so angry at Trump over giving away the store and colluding with the Russians that when this article came out, the latest slam for the press conference, this poor bugger is spitting mad. I can't understand how an educated person gets that way. When you close your mind to any idea, except the one that's in your mind, the ideas that are in your mind will rot and decay, and it serves you frickin' well right, people. Thank you, Kevin. I enjoyed it.
Thank you, Max. Appreciate it. Blessed to be a part of your day. Kevin Miller in the morning, KIDO Talk Radio. Top story. One major city, one of the biggest cities in the country, allowing non-citizens to vote. Welcome to San Francisco. What's wrong with that? Well, I thought you had to be a citizen to vote. Now, these are for school board elections, but isn't that what the Democrats want? Isn't that what they want when it comes to open borders? Isn't that what being a citizen is about? Your right to vote? So if you don't even have to be a citizen to vote, what's the incentive to be an American? Liberty Linda joins us now at KIDO Talk Radio with Kevin Miller. Hello, Liberty Linda.
Yes, good morning. Great callers this morning, Kevin. Anyway, yesterday we were having a controversy about if we are a republic or a democracy. So I looked it up, and this is what I found. It says, when Americans pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, we uphold the republic for which it stands. However, sometimes we do vote in our individual states, and that's when a representative democracy comes into place. However, our country, Kevin, is still a republic. And interesting enough, our founding fathers framed our government after Rome, and they had a Senate there. And what I'm going to say fits into what you're talking about this morning in regard to San Francisco. When they captured people from other countries and they brought them back to their country, they did not make them citizens. They were put into Naples, and they were called clients, but they could not become citizens. They could not vote in Rome. And so that was a distinguishing thing between others that came in. And that's what you're talking about this morning. And I'm amazed that, well, I won't say great minds think alike, but anyway, we're bringing people in. They don't even understand our way of life here. It takes time. That's why at least our founding fathers would give people 7 years before they became citizens. Today, it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So thank you for talking about what's going on in our land today.
Well, I just don't understand people when they sit back and they just kind of wonder what happened to America. And as Doug from Mountain Home was talking about, here you have these progressive lib antagonists in California not settling until people that aren't here legally can vote and decide local elections.
Well, it's a complete corruption we have in our country right now. And I can't even imagine one person would come up and say to get rid of ICE. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. We have to have border guards to protect our country and our people here. It's just chaos that we're living in today. And I am so happy we have our president, President Trump, defending us and understands our way of life here. No matter what they say about, Putin and what happened over there. It's better to get along with Russia and Putin than not. I'll stand to that. That's what I believe in. And so thank you for all your wonderful callers, Kevin. You have amazing people call in, and that's why we love your show so much.
Well, you're at the top of the list.
I just call in and try my best, give my views, and, how many others out there like me, like you, like your callers, that love this country and want to keep it as our founding fathers gave it to us. I think that's what we're talking about today.
Well, thank you, Liberty Linda. You have a great day.
You as well, Kevin. Love you.
Love you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Cindy, positive Cindy. Good news, Cindy, from Caldwell at KIDO Talk Radio with Kevin Miller.
Well, I am saying two positive things. One, I met a wonderful fellow. He is definitely a manly man, Jared, over at T Mazda Subaru. No, I didn't get the $20,000, but I was interested in just talking about leases. And for you, Kevin, you can have my vacation tryout over in Ketchum, Idaho, or wherever you do want to go. So, and yes, I have to say that you have he's so pleasant, that young gentleman that is taking your calls. So, there are good things happening. Rand Paul yesterday speaking to Sean Hannity, and I like when Sean says, that's actually scriptural, let not your hearts be troubled. So Rand Paul came across speaking very well in, I would say, defense of our president, and I know there were others out there, and that was one of the reasons I, of course, was on the Raw Labrador team, because he so came out and saw the vision for this constitutional republic as a member of the Freedom Caucus. But, I want to tell you, you asked a question yesterday, because I do listen to your show all day long. It was on one of your little things in between programming. There is such a thing as, I would say, they're calling it Trump derangement syndrome. And no, as a psychiatric nurse at one time, it isn't from a bodily thing. But, last night, I will have to say, and confirmed by many people, this nation is far gone on any sense of having any sense of truth from Scripture, Ten Commandments, right, wrong, being morally relative, being taught a very progressive sort of left socialistic agenda. And, and I would have to say, because the Californian that I met, and he was a very intelligent man. I hope he's listening or calls in. I gave him the station numbers, but he said the same thing just very simply to me. When you throw God out, and I'm talking about all Scripture profitable, doctrine, reproof, correction into right standing, I'm going to give you something this morning. It's a heart issue. Matthew 12:34. Jesus is saying their tongues, they're like vipers. They're evil. They don't want to speak any good, because he says out of the abundance of your heart, that's how what comes out of your mouth. Because there's another passage in James 3:6 that says your tongues are always on fire. And he's speaking of those that are in iniquity, that defile themselves, that are always continuing to, I would say, propagate malice. And that is exactly what they've done. We're supposed to be having malice towards none. Well, those on the left, I will tell you, they are just what Jesus said. They are set on fire by the fires of hell. Now, really, what does that mean? That means, don't you think that this is a great big spiritual warfare, and Satan just loves to stir up the pot? So, Kevin, I'm going to end this call, but I'm going to give you something. I'm going to say, one, this is my challenge to the left. I hope Steve is listening. I have a challenge for him tomorrow, that hopefully he will let me see his weapons as I show him my little arsenal, my little bag of weapons that I'm bringing over. But for the Democrats,
wait a minute, you're bringing weapons to Independence Indoor Shooting tomorrow?
Well, I'm bringing the Cindy kind of weapons that I fight with. So I'm going to
just wanted clarification. Now, who's this other guy? Yes. You invited this other guy? What is this, a date?
No, Steve. You said that Steve was coming. He was bringing his little red wagon over.
Oh, liberal Steve will be there. That's what. Well, he says a lot. We'll see if he shows.
Well, let's see if he shows. Otherwise, I'm still going to bring mine. Anyway, he's a
lot of talk. He doesn't do a lot of action.
He doesn't walk the talk. Well, you know what? I'm already getting a private lesson from John. I really like John when I went over there, because I really need to be just down to the basics. So I am going to do that, but I am coming over. But I'm hoping he does show up. But that said, this was funny.
I think we've covered a lot, Cindy.
Well, I want to tell you, my last thing is about for all those people left in Hollywood, so they can desensitize themselves a little to the Russians. That includes Robert De Niro, Sally Field, Jane Fonda, et cetera, et cetera. Do you know that there is such a drink, Kevin, listen to this, as a Moscow Mule. And guess where it was invented? At the Cock and Bull Club in Hollywood. I suggest they go on over, desensitize themselves, start just talking a little bit about Russians, and see about the good vodka. This is a true story, Kevin. In 1940,
well, wait a minute. We've gone from Austin filling in for Ray Amaya.
Yeah,
to
of course.
Liberal
I want
Steve,
to
your private, to Team Mazda Subaru, to the Bolsheviks. I don't know if there's any show in America that has covered such a variety of issues in the 5 minutes that we've been on together.
Well, of course, Kevin, because that's all we have for a few minutes. So I've just got to get, as they say, the best bang.
The bang for your buck, right? Yes, I get it.
That's right, Kevin. Anyway, I hope you have a great day. And people out there in America, come on now, don't give up hope. Look at that man with that, pushback on Avista. So, there are a bunch of us out there. They're always going to stand up and be forthright and just, carry on. You're all true patriots on this station, so go for it.
Thank you, Cindy. See you tomorrow.
Hey, I'll see you tomorrow morning, Kevin. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. And coming up next hour, Kent Goldthorpe will join us, Ada County Commissioner, or Ada County Highway District. Get his thoughts on people skirting the law and costing the county a lot of money. But first, Pete, sorry we didn't get to you sooner. Good morning. You're on KIDO Talk Radio.
Kevin, real quick, the other thing California did last year that is going to end up, I think, in anarchy there is they changed the standards on police shootings. Most places, most states, did the policeman, was his use of lethal force reasonable? In California now, was the use of lethal force necessary? So they're telling the policeman, if you haven't tried, talking to him and maybe stun gun or spray or something, before you use your firearm, he better have put 2 or 3 bullets in you first, because we're going to judge your, at least, if your use of force was not, and changing that standard from reasonable to necessary is a huge, it's basically they're saying the cop's guilty until he proves himself innocent.
Are we surprised?
What they're going to end up with is Baltimore and Ferguson and other places where the policemen have basically stopped policing. They will, you call 911, there's someone laying dead in the street, they'll come out. But they are not going to be going down the street and seeing drug gangs on each side of the street glaring at each other. They're just going to drive past.
Can't say you blame them.
No. Oh, absolutely. If I were a policeman in California, I'd be looking for a job anywhere else.
Well, Pete, thank you for listening. We appreciate the insight.
Thank you, Kev.